Am I the asshole for ending a relationship of 5 years because my girlfriend really wants to sleep with a doctor during her rural practice? So I know this will be pretty long, but I think some context is needed. We were both our first serious relationship and our first sexual partners. We both study medicine, not in the United States, and had an extremely stable relationship, barely any fights, and we're both happy and satisfied, or so I thought. A year ago she mentioned before a trip I was having that if I found someone I could get with them since it was such an opportunity. That led to a serious discussion where in summary I said that I would never want an open relationship and that if she needed that we had to go our separate ways. She apologized for jeopardizing the relationship, said it was a dumb thing she said without really thinking about it, and we carried on as usual. Now I know in hindsight this was the first big red flag. During our studies we have to go to a small rural town, not just the one my girlfriend is in. We are sent all over the place for 6 weeks where we work in a rural hospital in various services. Those rural practices have kind of a reputation for being very dangerous for relationships and the doctors over there for being all over the students that arrive. A lot of stories of them hooking up with the new female students and stuff. It's very common. And yes, I agree that it's a problem and it shouldn't be as normalized as it currently is, since there is a power difference and the behavior is pretty predatory, even though both parties are adults. So my girlfriend went to have her practice and the first 2 weeks were fine. We saw each other every weekend, and it was as good as it had always been, again. Or so it seemed to me. She then said that she went to have dinner with the hospital doctors, but that she stayed longer with one of them until very late in the night talking with him. She told me she knew that looked wrong, and she knew the stories, and she was a little ashamed about it, but thought she did nothing wrong since they just talked. I agreed and said she didn't cross any lines yet, but that it indeed looked wrong, and she shouldn't have done that. She then said that he invited her to jog, the two of them alone, the other day, and that she accepted. I told her if she knew the stories and the stigma that those student-doctor relationships have, why would she carry on like this? She said she wanted someone to just hang out, and that if he showed interest in her, it would make things uncomfortable. She would not lead him on and have her guard up. The next day she tells me they didn't jog because it apparently rained. I told her that I really didn't like that she was playing with fire. She told me I was right and that she reconsidered everything she was doing since thinking about it a bit more she found the doctor attractive and it would be dangerous to carry on. She said his intentions were still not clear, but she would be flattered and feel good with herself if he did try to make a move on her. Since all of this was happening I brought up what we talked about before about the open relationship. She had some time to think and when we talked again she said that it was something that interested her, that she would like to try it someday, that she thought it was something that could work. I said very clearly that I would never agree to that. She said it was fine and that she would never ask me to open the relationship and that it was just a fantasy she had in her mind. Cut to 4 days later when we see each other again. She says we need to talk. She told me that the doctor was now really hitting on her and was clear that he wanted to have sex with her and that she also really wanted to sleep with him. She said the rural practice was the perfect opportunity to try something else and to sleep with someone else. She said she wanted to explore that part of her, and the doctor was the perfect chance to do so. She was attracted to him, she said it wasn't a big deal, she just found him kind of attractive, and that, well, it's very rare for her to receive the attention of another man, so she wanted to explore new things. I said that I thought she was crossing a line, that she constantly moved boundaries, and that my mindset was clear, and I would never agree, but your desire was so strong that you felt the need to ask again. She said fine, then we can just continue the relationship as normal and I will respect it as I always have and not keep going with the doctor. She said she loved me and was happy with us. The next day we talked again. After our last talk I was already kind of making up my mind to finally end things and she again expressed how much she wanted to have sex with him and how important it was to her and that she didn't know when she would have another chance to have sex with someone else. Later that day I went to her house, she was home that weekend, and ended the relationship. She was absolutely furious, said I ended things over a stupid matter, that I didn't fight for the relationship, that I couldn't handle her having the hots for another man, that she was willing to fight and not be with the doctor and try to carry on as normal. Basically said I was an asshole and gave up on us for a little matter. It now seems obvious, but when the person I loved and trusted so much looked me in the eyes with that anger and said that I made a mistake, that I gave up so easily for a small matter, that I didn't fight or try to understand, that she just wanted to discuss things, I believed her for a moment somehow. Not anymore. Not blaming the people that said this was fake. I'm actually glad some people think that because it means that this shit was actually so crazy that I totally did not overreact and I can't believe that I thought I did, even for a second. Love really makes you dumb and blind, I guess.